Before diving into this story, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe, because here, every story is a new emotion you won't want to miss. The scene opens in near total darkness. The distant sound of falling debris echoes like whispers of a shattered world. A man, bloodied and bruised, kneels alone among broken pillars and rubble. His chest rises slowly, struggling for breath. His gaze lifts, not in defeat, but in reverence, toward the heavens above. His lips do not move, but something deeper speaks through him. Some men are born to fight, others to carry the weight of a world not meant for their shoulders, but only one was chosen to destroy it out of love. He was running from it, terrified of the burden, but too faithful to ignore it. Towering and stoic, he volunteered as a security guard at a local NGO that rescued teens from the grip of gangs. He didn't ask for thanks, nor did he speak much. His presence alone calmed storms. He looked at her like a man looks at a prophecy. "You walk like you're carrying silence," she said to him once. "I've never met someone so full of storms and still so calm." He gave no answer. She didn't expect to feel the tremble in her chest when he brushed past. She asked about his dreams. He said, "I don't know if I was born to fight or to fall. Maybe both." Later, when he finally fell asleep, she kissed his forehead and took out the scissors. And yet, each time she asked why he never cut his hair, he'd laugh. "It's a promise," he'd say. Armed men stormed the NGO at sunrise, ransacking everything. The long hair that once marked him as chosen now lay in shreds beside him. Delilah watched it on the news, her hands shaking as tears slid down her cheeks. She had done it. She had delivered the lion to the slaughter. Files were burned, teens were beaten, walls crumbled. The money didn't feel like victory. The silence in her soul screamed louder than applause. And in that moment, Delilah Silveira, the influencer, the actress, the spy, felt the first pangs of something she had never known: repentance. Samuel tried to stand, but his legs gave in. The strength he once carried like breath was gone. They dragged him into the street and beat him until even the sky turned its face away. And maybe my strength's hiding in there too. She laughed with him, but her eyes betrayed her because she already knew what she was going to do. But something in his eyes made her stay longer than planned. But inside, he carried an ache he couldn't name, like his soul was waiting for something ... Strand by strand, his vow unraveled. She held the long locks in her hands, trembling. For a moment, she almost stopped. But the knock at the door reminded her they were waiting, and the price of hesitation could be her own silence ... forever, or someone. He didn't know yet what would be asked of him, or what love would cost him, but the heavens knew. And in quiet corners of the city where evil plotted in shadows, his name was already feared. The boy with long hair, the one who would rise when the city fell. A boy was born under the weight of a promise. His mother, Ruth, once declared barren, had long accepted silence in place of lullabies. But one night, a man dressed in brilliant white appeared in her dream. Delilah Silveira arrived like a summer storm, bold, warm, impossible to ignore. She was filming a humanitarian documentary about forgotten communities and healing through fitness. The first time Samuel saw her, time folded in on itself. He didn't smile, but his chest tightened like it had been struck by lightning. Children mocked the boy with the long, tangled hair, calling him wild, strange, cursed. But strength doesn't speak loud. It reveals itself when needed. A question only he could answer. And Samuel, though he said little, found himself watching her more than the streets. His prayers grew quieter, like his faith was now testing him with something he never prepared for: love. At 12, he lifted a bag of cement like it was bread. Della had been contacted weeks before by a man in a black car. No name, just a briefcase full of money. Her mission was clear: get close to Samuel Roca, discover how he was interfering with the gang shipments. Find his weakness, they said. Everyone has one. And once, he pulled a streetlight down with his bare hands to rescue a puppy trapped beneath it. The people called it impossible. Ruth called it a sign. This child, he whispered, will bring giants to their knees. And so hope bloomed where there had only been dust. In the heart of Solmascenti, a forgotten corner of the city where prayers echo against broken walls. Son of Ruth and Manal Iron Fist Roca, a retired boxer with hands like stone and a heart like thunder, he carried within him something neither of them could explain. Ruth, trembling with awe, made a sacred vow. Her son would never cut his hair until his divine purpose was fulfilled. His life would belong to God before it belonged to the world, and God had already claimed him. Samuel Roca was not like the others. As Samuel grew, so did the rumors. He was quiet, distant, but not cold. There was fire in his eyes and thunder in his silence. At night, he would climb to the rooftop and stare at the stars, asking questions only heaven could hear. Why me? What giants? What promise? The answers never came in words. But sometimes the wind would blow through his hair like a whisper, and he would understand just enough to keep going. Samuel wasn't chasing greatness. At 27, Samuel had become a silent legend in Solmascenti. That something came in heels and camera lenses. Dalila was used to being admired, but Samuel didn't look at her like a man looks at a woman. She started coming back every day, always with a reason. A new scene to shoot, a yoga class to lead. But love, in her world, had a price. She didn't expect to like him. One night, after a community event, she invited him to her apartment under the excuse of reviewing footage. They drank wine. The sound of the blades echoed like betrayal. The next morning, all hell broke loose. They dumped his body in a landfill outside the city, torn, bloodied, barely breathing. But something inside her was breaking. The scene opens in near total darkness. The distant sound of falling debris echoes like whispers of a shattered world. A man, bloodied and bruised. What she didn't know was that giants never die easy, and purpose doesn't die just because strength is stolen. Somewhere beneath the garbage, Samuel's heart still beat, slowly, faintly, but with every thump, a name echoed through eternity, and heaven, oh, heaven was not done with him yet. He was found in a landfill, barely alive, by a street pastor who walked with a limp and saw with only one eye. The man spoke softly but with fire in his voice. Son, God isn't done with you. Broken doesn't mean useless. And then silence, not the kind that waits, but the kind that breathes. A breeze swept through the broken windows. He stood, ripping the chains from the concrete as if they were threads. The air changed. Power returned not to his muscles, but to his spirit. He turned to the pillars, tears in his eyes, and ran. With everything he had left, everything he was. He pushed. The lights flickered like heaven was blinking. Themes groaned. Fueled by grief and pride, the NGO that Samuel once guarded with silent strength reopened its doors. A plaque was placed for all to see. Here lived a man with the strength of 1,000 and the heart of a servant. The words echoed the truth of Samuel's journey, a man chosen not for glory, but for service. His legacy was not just strength, but love made real in a broken world. Now a beacon of hope supported by voices from across the nation. Their laughter a tribute to Samuel's sacrifice. His hair no longer flowed, but his purpose continued to grow, rooted deep in every life he touched. In the hearts of those who dare to hope, he lives on, proof that no darkness can extinguish the light of a soul set free. His story traveled beyond the streets, inspiring hearts to believe that even the weakest can become giants when faith leads the way. His name was whispered in prayers and shouted in rallies, an eternal flame burning in hearts too long left in the dark. Remember that sometimes to be broken is to be made whole. And when faith is strong, the impossible becomes just the beginning. He wasn't weak. Samuel Roca's story isn't just about strength. It's about faith, sacrifice, and the power to change everything. Don't just watch, feel it, believe it, share it, and subscribe for more. Kisses, and see you next time. He wasn't broken. His body crushed, but his spirit soaring higher than ever. The dawn broke over Sol Nascenti, casting light on the fallen warrior who had given everything to protect his people. Though the city had tried to break him, it was now forced to carry him, not as a victim, but as a legend born from sacrifice. He was exactly what he was always meant to be, a sacrifice with purpose, a warrior with heaven in his chest. The warehouse crumbled, swallowing the faction, the violence, the curses. And when the dust settled, only silence remained. Dust exploded into the air as the structure began to collapse in slow, holy motion. Screams erupted, some of fear, some of realization. Among the chaos, Delilah screamed his name, but Samuel didn't stop. He held the pillars like the arms of a broken world and brought it all down. Samuel's fingers twitched around the chains. A sound cracked through the room, ancient and final. Others say the pastor saw light rise from the rubble that night. Delilah would never forget his face in those last seconds, not of pain, but peace. She wept like a prophet lost in Revelation, because Samuel Roca didn't die a victim. He fulfilled a vow and became a legend. Sometimes the most shattered vessels shine the brightest light. And Samuel, for the first time in days, breathed without pain. The old pastor took him in, fed him broth, and cleaned his wounds with trembling hands. At night, he read psalms aloud, as if reminding both of them that darkness trembles at holy words. And even then, he saved us all, including me. Her words trembled with regret and reverence, a powerful testament to the cost of betrayal and the boundless reach of grace. She had witnessed the fall and the rise of a true hero. If there's still anything left in me that you can use, then use my pain. Let my scars mean something, and their final act. Samuel Roca, the fallen hero, humiliated before the entire city. Everyone knew it was a trap. Samuel knew it too. But something inside him said, go. Just don't let me die empty. Walking with a limp and no hair on his head. The crowd roared with mockery, phones pointed, insults flying. He was led between two concrete pillars, chains clamped around his wrists, forced to kneel like a sacrifice. Cameras zoomed in. The faction laughed, savoring the spectacle. The room fell silent, but the pastor smiled, as if heaven had just nodded. Outside, the wind carried a weight that wasn't there before. Samuel listened in silence, ashamed of what he had lost. His strength, his vow, his purpose, all gone. Until one night, he got on his knees and prayed again. Lord, he whispered, his face wet with tears. Days later, a message arrived, an invitation masked as a challenge. The faction had organized a brutal underground fight, live-streamed for bloodthirsty fans. He arrived at the abandoned warehouse alone. He closed his eyes and whispered, Mom, I know now why I was born. With a roar that split bone and sky, the ground shook. In that final moment, time froze. Some say his body was never found. Samuel's breath slowed beneath the rubble. The neighborhood rose like a phoenix. Delilah stood before the crowd, tears tracing the lines of her confession. I destroyed the purest man I ever knew. At the sight of the rebuilt NGO, the city, once silent under the shadow of fear, now hummed with life and courage. Children ran free where violence once ruled. Though his body was gone, Samuel's spirit remained, a guardian watching from the stars. When the world feels too heavy, remember Samuel Roca. When a fallen hero rises, the entire city feels the shock.